Hello, everyone. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes so everyone can join us and I can make sure that our live is working well. But I want to welcome everyone to today's online session. My name is Isabella. I work with marketing here at TechSoft, and I'm joined today by our CTO, Marc. So we'll give everyone a couple of minutes. You guys can feel free to leave comments on chat. I will open for questions at the end after our presentation. But really, we're here today to kind of share the results of Marc's recent GPT-5 evaluation. And even more importantly, how those insights shaped Frameworks 10.1, which is our next major release. Today is just a teaser, so we're not going to get into a deep dive on everything there. But we'll get some highlights on why we believe the Frameworks is the first truly AI-ready SCADA platform. So I think we can start at the beginning. Marc, let's really take a step back. Why did you decide to run those tests on GPT-5? I know you've done so in earlier versions as
well. Okay, let me give you some context. I really started working since inception. The very first version, I was there. And right away, I realized that's so important that I put as CTO the task to see how we should apply that in our products. But we're very careful baby steps, because being reliable is very important in business. So I'm studying many years, but only now we had the final acceleration. We're finally at the final step to unveil, as you mentioned, Frameworks 10.1 in October 1. Cannot be more perfect than that. Where AI is a very important platform. And when you manage critical assets, you really need a very clear understanding about the LLM model's limitations. And that's what I'm doing. And to do that, I have the perfect benchmark. That was some standard tests. We had many thousands of human candidates for top programmers going through that process. So I have very rich data for benchmarking, and that's what I've been using to evaluate the GPT evolution.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about the actual test. How does it work? What are the sessions?
Yeah, that was designed by me. Of course, most of those questions, I did some researching in the industry, how to access, but the final organization I did. And the goal is not to be an IQ test, let me clear. Especially, we have many people, perhaps that's our employees or foreign employees, and they know how much they got on that test. So no, it was not an IQ evaluation. It was more a profiling. In the sense, we want to know if that person has the typical skills that a top developer, a top programmer, a top system engineer typically has. So all the parts, 8 parts, 10 questions each, on vocabulary, semantics, pattern recognition, reasoning, problem solving, logical, challenging, abstract thinking, was designed to that. So 8 sessions, you see the slide, 10 questions each. We have 80 as the top maximum score. That's the test.
That's awesome. And you ran it by GPT-5. So, and tell us a little bit, what did you get?
Well, it was really surprising. I was not expecting that. When I did the 3.5 and 4, we went 47, 57. 57 is a very junior programming. It's not really, it's more another type of profile. But then we got 73. And just to give you an idea, that's the best of the best we ever had in those 3 decades. we had only very few people that was able to score 70 plus, and they had 45 minutes to do. and they did only in GPT does right away. So it's amazing craze. Okay, it's incredible.
Okay. Awesome. So is it that incredible that we're looking at AI kind of replacing us at this point?
Yeah. Well, you see, if you are not only audio, if you see the display now, go back, step one back.
Sorry.
There is a little warning here that there are some critical differences. I start with the amazing, praise, good news, but there is really very important points here. Any top human programmer, they can detect, understand, and adapt, learning to find errors and learn with those errors.
Mm-hmm.
The LLM models, typically they don't do that when confronted with an error. Even worse, many times in my experience, it's just double down.
Okay.
That's the problem. But there is one more problem, even more troubling. That 7.3 is a great score. But when you go to analyze the errors, let's focus now on the few it got wrong. We find out that even most of them were correct. The errors show that there is clearly no true understanding and clearly not any real logic-based reasoning behind that.
Okay.
So my surprise is not for the 7 it was wrong. It's how amazing they developed the technology to be able to have so many correct ones, since it lacks that basic real logical infrastructure.
Okay. Interesting. So we're not quite there yet. And can you give us an example of what kind of mistakes?
Yeah, good news. Your job's safe.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Can you give me an example of what kind of mistakes ChatGPT makes? I know.
Let's see some examples to back that strong statement. Let's see this sequence there. If you have only audio, it's a sequence of letters A, B, B, C, B, G, E, F, B, G, H, I. Okay. And the question is to identify what would be the logical next letter in that sequence. If you have access to the display, you'll see that there's a very clear pattern emerging. If you're a programmer, if you're not a programmer, perhaps you don't see that. But if you are really a system engineer, you'll see right away that you have the B letter acting as a separator. So we have groups of letters following alphabetical order. Those letters are A, then B, C, then G, E, F, then G, H, I. What comes after an I in the alphabet? Isabella? Yeah! You are a programmer. That's a right answer, J. Okay. GPT-5 in their thinking model, after 1 minute 38 seconds, replied B. Okay. And we'll discuss the detail on this reply later. But this reply I have here on the screen or the PowerPoint presentation that you can share on your website article was not always the same. I did try many and many times, sometimes even say that the answer is wrong. Do your reason again.
Okay.
He did many types of reasoning, not necessarily this one, but always coming to the final conclusion, yeah, it's B. Okay.
Okay.
That's very interesting. Okay.
And I understand the error, but what can we learn from it? What does that actually mean?
Practical, because so far, when people say, yeah, but so it's a crazy letter test. Okay. Well, let's understand, first of all, what's behind the error. Because we need to understand it's not a random error. There is very clear reasons for the error. And the main one that's in the infrastructure on how large language models they work. On the end of the day, they are only a very highly sophisticated statistical model to do good guessing. The core. it's much more than that, but to the core, the technology LLM is that, okay? So they have an intrinsic problem that they tend to stick with the first detectable pattern they find, okay? They have another problem, which is not on the slides, that they have very hard problems, but that's in the article on the web, to deal when you don't have one role, you have two roles at the same time. If it's one pattern, they are good. We have, like in this case, two patterns, the separator and the growing of the sequence. Almost all problems like that, they get in trouble. And so those, and they have a third problem to the core. They use only the data that they feel willing to use. In this specific example, he decided to ignore in his reply all the data before the letter C. If we go back quickly for the previous slides, okay, in this specific error, the GPT put the reason is that from G onwards, it follows a pattern that have B plus 3 letters. That's what's his decision. But if you look at the sequence, go back to next slides, okay? The rule he created that I have B plus 3 letters only apply in the second half of the sequence. So he created a reasoning, just completely ignore half of my data sets that frankly for a computer that's aiming to replace PhDs was not that complex. It has a 10-letter sequence, come on, okay? So if you understand those things, you understand the limitations. And before someone claim, oh, you are against AI, no, not at all. I spend an incredible amount of my day working with AI. They are amazing, great tools, okay? Many times they are incredible, even for people that knows the technology, you get complete amazing by some great results. But you need to understand the other side of the coin also.
No, awesome. It's really interesting. And let me ask you, this is all about working with text, right? That's how usually we do it with ChatGPT. So not really solving puzzles when it comes to the day-to-day.
Yeah.
But it affects that.
To find the next letter in that
Yeah. So what I would like to understand is really how that error translates when we're working with text.
Yeah,
Language,
make
text,
that technical math finding to practical importance. Okay, so let's go next slides. Let's understand why that matters. Okay, it's not puzzle solving really. It's about being reliable, consistent. So let me give you some backgrounds. Okay, who knows me long years know that since my academic years, I even did some research work on the area. I've been a big fan of logic abstraction. Instant, I did some research that was 3 decades ago called LogLang. It's called logical languages. How to create a language that has a logical infrastructure. Okay, I was really loving that segment of the math science. And I learned that the foundations of that logic abstraction, okay, is really great because it can apply to the analysis or any written tests, debate arguments, business plans, decision make, any place where you need not emotional wrong data, any place you need that what you are analyzing needs to have logical soundness. The consistency is a must. Every time you have with wording, text-related interactions, and of course they're plenty in our real life, those underlying concepts driven from studying logic abstraction, they are applicable. You understand what's happening. And when you do that kind of low-level analysis on the reason, on pure reasoning, you can very easily identify the bottlenecks of the thinking. That when you are trying to analyze what's wrong with that 150-page documents that was created, what are the logical limitations, it will be certainly very hard. So the puzzles are only a tool to test logic abstraction that will reflect in errors that will also happen when organizing documents, creating contents, interact with AI agents, making workflow, AI-driven workflow, they will happen. And that to allow us to identify where and how we can manage the potential risks.
Awesome. I'll recap to everyone, and you correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So GPT-5, awesome, faster than any human, for sure. High accuracy.
Just a quick one. I don't know. I forget to mention that I use GPT a lot. I even asked him to review this specific presentation. And one top feedback it gave me is, I suggest you to shorten and simplify the example. The one he cannot solve. So as I put that, it's very tempting to start humanizing AI. There is many papers about that, and reply, "Oh yeah, I know you wouldn't like that one." That's one of the top struggles it has.
No, perfect. And I think that's the thought behind all of this is that as amazing as it is, it doesn't really self-correct itself, and it has no real understanding of what it's saying, right?
That's very clear.
There's no logic behind it. And we don't see that statement a lot when we come to AI, and I do think it's important.
Yeah, in fact, there is a reason for that. What's really hype and what's reality? Let's talk about that. Okay. So next.
Well, this is all about how AI really needs that human oversight. I think at the end of the day, it's all about that. And that kind of brings us into like frameworks version 10 and how it connects to our 10.1 launch. I've mentioned before, and I will repeat it, we're just doing a little bit of a teaser today. But can you tell a little bit about how AI fits into that?
Yeah, I will. Go next slide, please.
Of course.
But let's just a quick. You mentioned that you don't see that much on internet. So before in how we apply industrial automation, I want to make very clear one statement here. There is the hype and there is the ground, okay? So when you work with industrial automation, you cannot allow yourself to stay only at the hype level. You need really to ground on what are clearly the functionality limitations, all of that, okay, to be able to go to our next question, that how it apply to IIoT or industrial automation in general. And another concept that I need two concepts are very important, what you mentioned, human oversight.
Okay.
It was a great insight. You got that. But even more than oversight, your AI will be as good as a PhD in one subject matter if you ourselves are PhD level on that matter. If you are also, it's incredible. You do things, I don't know even how many times faster, you do more, you do better. It's incredible. As long as you can keep up, okay? And being in the driver's seats. And before we go to industrial automation, there is a distinction. Nowadays, there's so much hype. For many people, AI equals ChatGPT. For many people. But automation is very important to make a distinction. There are very type of AI-driven applications. Specifically, that applies to industrial automation. There are the LLM, the large language models, and there is machine learning. That's another area of AI that's been used in industrial automation for many, many years with great results and has nothing to do with ChatGPT.
Awesome. Perfect. So two kind of sides of the same coin, right?
Mhm.
Nice.
So what next? Frameworks, industrial automation assets.
Yeah, we'll get into it. So just let me make a note. I had an issue with YouTube chat, but I think if you guys refresh now, you might be able to type. Um, so because I would love any questions you guys may have as we get into frameworks 10.1.
Okay, so let's go there. Okay,
Yeah,
what?
tell me a little bit about it. What does it mean, I feel, to be AI ready when we think about SCADA?
Yeah, we go there. And as usual, I like to do, let me explain why all that research I'm doing the last few years, published that GPT benchmarks. It's not because I like. I like. There is also a business reason to do that. Okay. When I do all those logical testings and validating the design we have been working the last few years for frameworks 10.1. Because when we start the design of that full new platform that you put out like in the next 2 months, we had some basic guidelines that in benefits who has only audio. I'll go one by one because that's important. Number one, AI is implemented with human in the loop oversights, non-negotiable. MCP servers, that's also a big hit nowadays, provide the way we do the implementation is a requirement to provide built-in audit trail and confirmation gates for critical operations. It's not a point to give MCP the driver's seats in our area. Next, industrial systems, they need deterministic logic alongside AI capabilities. So for many, many years, I can tell in our industry, the new AI technology works side by side with a deterministic logic along your applications. Okay. And finally, you need a solid foundation. So you need to take measure reliable first approach, not rush out beautiful demos or even worse, put in production if you don't take those very measured steps that we're doing for the last 3 years.
Awesome. Perfect.
Let's go now to your question. I like to position frameworks as also industrial operation platforms because it's not about one only feature. It's a platform to enable operation of real critical assets, to be UMS enabled, to be AI enabled, to be AI ready. That was your question finally. I did not forget. I reply now. So the AI reds, okay, I can give you some examples. On the upcoming release, okay, in October 1st, we'll have some components. The specialist GPT is a domain expert chat AI training on frameworks 10.1. We are going to have an MCP server embedded in the product to do the real-time bridge to allow other applications to access your unified namespace and your operational data. We're going to have some nice data analytics integration based in machine learning models that provide insights that are industrial specific. For that, we are partnering with some leading companies that develop specifically AI-driven analytic packages, and exactly the details of that integration will be also on the October 1st. And finally, it will be only a preview, not the other one will be released, but I decided to include one that's still preview, but I'm liking so much that's the integration of the ML.NET with a native edge AI deployments, okay? But there is a little catch here. That's not our AI red reasons. Those are AI modules that we have in our infrastructure. The reason we are AI red is not about those models. is about we put the effort to redesign an infrastructure to the core, able to provide that data in a secure way, to combine it being open to be secure. So we leverage the fact that you are a .NET platform to the core to combine being open, secure, and at the same time industrial grade, really high performance, real time. Those is really why we say AI, because you can create an AI tool, but if it's an external at all, having communication with a core that was not designed to these environments, you don't have an AI-ready platform. You have an AI tool. That makes sense here?
I know, absolutely.
Okay.
Like, just something we're throwing. It needs the foundation. I think that's the key message around it.
Foundation is the key point here.
And you mentioned .NET specifically. You feel like that helps with the AI readiness?
Well, it really does a lot, because going a little in programming modes now, when you have a foundation complete creating .NET, you can create on the fly .NET compile high performance additional components that are managed, and you can integrate that in real time. When you have a tool that's nice for web only, based in Java, Python scripting, and more web only driven technology, without that foundation, they just can't do that. So when you go to that kind of requirements, how is your technological stack? Okay, if it's driven from industrial automation, .NET, C540 enterprise infrastructure, or if it's driven from web, it's quite a difference in this area. That's why .NET allows to do that, and to do my last program of the day, very advanced things like open the unified namespace, not only to the process data, but to all internal components of the product itself. Anything about status of the communication, alarm, security, we have a complete unified namespace, both for the process data and for the platform data, all readily available.
Awesome. And I'm open for questions in a sec, but let's kind of recap. Kind of give me like the bigger vision here.
Well, yeah, the fact is, with that foundation, we're able to deliver one AI SCADA platform that brings also three essential components that are important in the industry: the unified namespace, the factory floor reliable operations, and the secure open integration with the AI. That's really what is the foundation of our upcoming next product. That's the Frameworks version Taiwan.
Awesome, I appreciate it. That was the main of our presentation. I do have a couple of questions, and just to make it clear for everyone who joined after, this is all just a teaser for Frameworks 10.1. We will have an official launch event October 1st, 10.1.
Yeah.
And I will be sending more information around that soon. To make sure to stay tuned to our socials and our website, because we have a lot more stuff interesting. And I feel like AI is a big piece of it, but it's not even the only piece of it. So I do have questions here on LinkedIn. Let me ask you. And once again, if you are on YouTube, if you want to refresh, chat should be enabled now because we had an issue with it. And I'll ask actually this one first, and then the one that I just got. So what is a good reference, like for more information on the limitations of those LLM models?
Well, there's ton of papers published, but if you are really try to understand some concepts, I saw a YouTube video a few days ago. It was something like the AI thinking limitations, based on an article that was studying some internal Apple research. I think you have the name and the link for that
Send
article.
it to me. I'll find it in a second.
I did mention with you that, and that one, it's very good because I didn't double check if all he was talking about the articles from Apple. It's not an Apple article, it's someone commenting on research. So I didn't double check if the quotes are correct, but the overall explanation of the technology is really very sound. So Isabella will put out that. Oh, I found here the YouTube video. It's the illusion of thinking. Apple just exposed AI's fake reasoning.
Perfect.
It's not an Apple video. It's someone, but did a great job explaining some of those limitations. It has my recommendation to watch.
Perfect. And a question we just got here from YouTube: how can developers balance leveraging ChatGPT-5 for rapid coding while also ensuring code quality, security, and long-term maintainability?
Wow, easy and complex at the same time. That's such the easy part. There are clearly some things that not even GPT-5 or Pro or thinking is really capable to do. There's the system design, and there are a ton of YouTube videos about that. So you have customer requirements, resources, there's design time frames, and you need to build an architecture. Don't even try, okay? You can use an AI to validate the architecture, to refine it, but you need still a good old human being, okay, doing that very clear system design. When you have the system design that you go to implementation, feel free to allow the GPT go crazy, okay? And you'll be amazingly surprised by the good results. But then there is the catch. It's possible you get so excited that you forget you should be using a co-pilot, and you should be still being the pilot. And you cannot leave the cabin. If you get so excited by some results that you start allowing code go to the product without human review, you are asking for problems. Nowadays, in our company, I don't feel comfortable for even one line of code going production without a human review. So that's the hard part.
Then I know, actually, you mentioned Copilot. I know we're using it. Do you want to give an overview of what we're using inside the company regarding AI? Because we bashed it a little bit, but it is an amazing tool.
I do a recommendation to work with the AI tools, Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude, all of them. Okay. Don't, and in fact, I put that in my paper 1 or 2 years ago. Don't assume any limitation before you reach that limitation. So on the beginning, start thinking that most crazy requests, they are potentially achievable, okay? And then we start turning down after that, okay? And what's really important, but specific to the Copilot, it does an amazing job helping you to find specific bugs, to find specific place on the code where you need to do some small enhancements, to create little piece of codes, okay? So you need to do some data to convert in between SVG and PNG or any other graphical formats. Oh, the AI will do that for you, very close to final production codes. Mm-hmm. But you still need, as I mentioned before, do review. Even if it's a 2 or 3 lines modification, the copilots are very talented to do things, but they are very talented also to put some little bugs if you don't pay attention.
That's perfect. Let me just double check if nobody else sent a question here, and I will move to kind of end the session for now.
Okay.
So I think we're good on LinkedIn. It's just because we're live on a couple different places. No, I think this was a good insight into AI and where we're at right now. This session will be recorded as well. I put my email here on chat, so you guys can feel free to ask questions if you remember them later. The AI conversation is an ongoing one, So really, this is just one thought, a couple of thoughts into it. But for sure, the topic deserves much more time and detail. And honestly, this was our first little introduction to Frameworks 10.1. We're really proud of it, and we're excited to have the full launch event in October. Then we'll really go deep into the AR ready architecture and all of the details around that. So in the meanwhile, you can read Marc's full GPT article. I have it already here on chat, but you can also find it on our website under the blog session. And I think it's just like final thoughts around it is, and I think we talk about this a lot inside the company, AI is not about replacing human expertise. It's really about giving us more of those AI superpowers, is what we call them inside the company. And I do believe Frameworks 10.1 makes that possible. So thanks for joining, everyone. We'll see you guys in October for the full review. I will be sending out information about that too. Any last thoughts, Marc?
Well,
Anything
this
to
is a perfect summary. I think you had the GPT-5 helping you in another display because it was perfect. So that's it. Thank you very much for you and for everyone that was here.
Perfect. I appreciate it, everyone, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.